SitcomStudios.com.
Here to talk more about it is totally, definitely not an impersonator, but the actual Ron Johnson. Welcome to the show, Senator.
Kristen, it's great to be here with you again. I love that, in your intro that they pronounce your last name, Kristen Bry. Because I didn't know how to say it. We call you Kristen Lie, where in my parts in Green Bay and the areas of the Fox Valley. So it syncs up nicely with that.
Moving Wisconsin forward, one joke at a time. This is Kristen Bry with As Goes Wisconsin.
Yada, yada, yada.
Hello, Wisconsin! Hello, Wisconsin! Welcome to the No Sour Ha Ha Fun Time Power Hour. And we could not be more excited for our guest that is joining us for this half hour. He's written for Saturday Night Live and Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm. He wrote The Cat in the Hat, starring Mike Myers, and wrote and directed Eurotrip. And then he was the executive producer, writer, and showrunner on arguably the most accurate political show to ever do it, and won a couple Emmys doing it, Veep. And now has a new show that's starting this month on HBO called The White House Plumbers. Please welcome David Mandel to As Goes Wisconsin. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, how are you both?
We are great.
We're great. We're so excited to have you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. How are you? What's going on?
Well, we got an election
What's
coming up.
new in Wisconsin?
I know,
Exactly.
Right? It's always people forget, I think, sometimes when they're, I lived in California for a long time, and I think a lot of people out there don't think twice about Wisconsin, but there's a lot going on here. Especially in
I'm
politics.
doing a big national media tour, but locally just Wisconsin. So yeah.
Exactly. We're like in the lineup of all the other like late night shows pushing this new to the White House Plumbers. But so thank you for making time for us.
Well, thank you for having a Supreme Court election that basically is holding the fate of democracy in its hands. So thank you. Yeah.
We like to get attention every once in a while, even if it's not always for the best things. so I guess because I do want to get into how you ended up
and everything. Sure.
Yes. In Wisconsin politics. But so am I making this up? Or are you from Chicago?
No, you are making that up. I'm from New
Where
York
are you
City.
from?
New York
You
City.
are from New York City. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know where I saw that then.
No.
So from New York, your first break was SNL?
Yeah, I got involved in comedy writing at college, and then when I came out of college, I did a couple of little things at Comedy Central. But my real first job was Saturday Night Live from '92 to '95. So basically, the very end of like the Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman, Kevin Nealon, those guys, and the rise of Sandler, Farley, Spade, Schneider, those guys. And so right in there. Yeah, it was pretty great time. Yeah.
And so were you were just out of college basically? And so
I technically started there. I was still 21 for like the first 2 months of work. So yeah. Yeah.
Dave, do you come from a funny family? I mean, is funny part of your family?
They're loud. I don't know. Sometimes that can be funny. I think yes. I think they're actually everybody's pretty amusing. But but I'll say this for myself too. I'm not sure any of us knew this was really a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just. I was a TV movie fan. I read things and whatnot, and yet the notion of like, I'm going to be a writer, and not a lawyer and not a doctor or not all these other things. That was definitely a moment. It helped that I had a job at Saturday Night Live. So when I called my parents, I was able to say, so I'm not really doing that whole college recruiting thing and whatever, but I've got a job. I mean, or I guess then I was like, I have a job at Comedy Central. And then before that ended, I was like, I have a job at SNL. So they were just like, okay, but yeah.
It's legit. It's not your friend's basement, like
backdoor
sketch group that you're like,
I'm not sure
this is going to lead somewhere.
I'm not sure they ever fully understood it or still understand it, but they at least are aware it's real. So yeah.
And so it seems like when you read your resume, it feels like kind of one thing went like SNL led to Seinfeld. And then
Yeah.
each thing kind of like ping ponged into obviously the wild success and all the Emmy awards and nominations for Veep. And so has it kind of, I mean, nothing's ever a straight line, but it feels like
It's
you've
not
kind
a
of,
it's not a perfect straight line, and obviously it's a strange mix of I don't know, I hope this doesn't sound too, braggy. I think I've been able to work on some really, really great television and some not great movies. And so those are sort of the two sort of the two components of my life. Yeah.
and
Um
so, oh, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say, but no, it was sort of TV for a while, sort of through Seinfeld, and then there was kind of a change in the business, which I won't bore your audience with, and all of a sudden I was doing more movie stuff, and that was kind of going on for a while, and then kind of got back to TV when Larry was doing Curb Your Enthusiasm, and that obviously was HBO and whatever that sort of the dawn of prestige television was, and then I kind of stayed there for a bit. There was a little ping ponging, but like I kind of was back in TV, and I've kind of been there since to some extent. So yeah.
And so then with Veep, is that because you're now part of the reason you're here is because you're invested in Wisconsin politics, despite being from New York, despite not living in Wisconsin. It's also how Julia Louis-Dreyfus ended up sharing one of my
Yep.
videos recently, and so I guess, were you political before Veep, or was it
Yeah,
through
I
writing
mean,
that show?
in the Road Not Taken, I was a government major. So
Oh,
yeah, so I technically I studied American government in college for whatever that is worth, not apparently much. And again, on some path at the time before it was like, oh, I want to be a comedy writer, of again, it's hard to answer it, but I guess I would not have been surprised had I like gone to DC or worked on someone's campaign. Like I feel like that was sort of vaguely my path that I was thinking about until I realized, no, I want to do, comedy. And so, but even when like at SNL, like the first big thing that I ever wrote where like it was like, whoa, people are seeing it, people are talking about it, was something that I wrote with Al Franken, then not Senator Al Franken, and Jim Downey. But it was in 92 is Bill Clinton pre-inaugural jogging into the McDonald's and explaining the Somalian warlords using the food on people's trays, but every time the Somalian warlords intercept the shipments, he ate it, and there was and whatever. So when I got to the show, even though like I was relatively a young kid, I was far more interested in writing Bill Clinton sketches, or at the time Dana Carvey was doing like Ross Perot and all of that kind of stuff, than I ever was in the, again, great stuff, but I guess whatever, like the Sandler Farley sort of more age appropriate stuff, I guess, to me. Yeah.
yes, the goofy
So
off the wall.
yeah, so I was
Yeah.
so I was always into politics, I guess. In my own quiet reading time, I read just a lot of nonfiction, political stuff and historical stuff. That's what I do like. And so I was definitely into it all. Veep sort of ramped it up because all of a sudden it made sense to start subscribing to more newspapers, to start getting some of the various morning newsletters from like Politico, or even like specific
Mhm.
the Washington Post, like morning newsletters, some of that kind of stuff, to really be on top of like what was going on in DC, because I was looking for stories. So I was
Yeah.
definitely, I was panning for gold, but accidentally I got more involved. So it was sort of a combination of those two things. Yeah. Plus, like, Julia's a bit of a magnet for it, and sort of she was into it, I was into it. It was sort of like those two energies sort of collided. And obviously I can't work on the level that she does in terms of like, getting people, but any chance I have to sort of help her with stuff and, help with, the words and, make it funny and all of that kind of stuff, I figure that's my value. So there you go.
Absolutely. We're talking to David Mandel, who's a writer, director, producer, probably best known for Veep, would you say? But now
These days, but soon to be maybe
I
for
know.
directing White House Plumbers. We'll see if
So
that happens. Yeah.
so let's talk a little
Yeah.
bit about that show that's coming. It's premiering this month.
It's actually May 1st now. Originally it was,
okay.
at some point they had announced March, and then they decided May 1st for whatever their scheduling reasons are. But, and I don't even know if people know that, but I saw it in print yesterday. So I'm going to say it, even though it may be a big secret. So there you go. An exclusive here.
There we go.
Yeah.
So tell us more about the show.
I think it's a really fascinating thing. It's a show about Watergate. And I'll say a couple of things. Number one, obviously there've been in the history of Watergate, there've been shows about it, but this is the first show that kind of ever takes place from the perspective of the guys that actually did the break-in. It's basically about Howard Hunt, Gordon Liddy, and the burglars, the Cuban burglars and whatnot. And it's from their perspective. And so this is not, your sort of typical halls of power, like in the Oval Office, hearing the president, talking and revealing all of that stuff. It's just very much from their perspective, who they were, how they got involved in it, what sort of really happened on this heist, and then the cost to their lives. And the two things that I think are really interesting, one obviously is, number one, of course, after Watergate, politics was solved, everything was perfect, and there were never ever any bad people again. So that was good. And we never had a president that was ever sort of looking to overstep or anything like that. So really, it's just it's a reminder of the old days when that kind of stuff could happen. No, it's one of these stories that it strangely seems almost as relevant, even as we were working on it. And we sort of got to the second impeachment hearing, it just seemed like it got more relevant. And it's also one of the things I'm fascinated by about it. These guys who basically put themselves on the line for the president and sort of broke the law in the name of the law. They were those really early, I don't know what else to say, true believers. And it's that true believerism that I think is a real curse. Sometimes on both sides of politics, but one side in particular that I think a lot about. So yeah.
And is it a dramedy then? Would you?
I mean, I don't love the word, but it's like funny the way Boogie Nights was sometimes funny, but also sort of I mean, it's that.
Okay.
All right. They happen to be. I'll say this. They happen to be funny guys. Yes. Take a break.
Okay. We got to take a break. David Mandel is our guest. When we come back, we'll talk about politics and some Wisconsin sitcom pitches.
Hey everybody, how we doing? I'm Charlie Barons, inviting you to join me Saturdays and or Sundays at noon. It's a horse apiece, whatever you decide. We're doing the Cripes Cast, where we talk to people for and or from the Midwest, and it's more fun than a six-pack of Jolly Good. Okay, the pride of Random Lake, that Jolly Good is. Anyway.
All right. Yeah. Sorry. We have hard-coded breaks.
Oh, so no worries. Please.
We get cut
off.
off.
Sorry. Yeah, no worries.
No, you're good. That was great. And so when we come back, we'll start with the pitches and have some fun. But I don't think that will take the whole time. And then I think ending on why Wisconsin is important, why you care, why you even came on here. And then we can obviously pitch the show again to have people make sure that they watch when it's on in May.
Anything. All good.
All right. Sounds good.
Local music and nobody's doing it, so great job.
Listen to Max Inc. Radio Saturday nights 6 to midnight on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Veterans, whatever you're going through, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach. Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
You are listening to your local Civic Media radio station on air. Thank you. Did you know we are always streaming on TuneIn and the Civic Media app too? And if you miss a show or game, find it wherever you get your podcasts or on our website, civicmedia.us.
Here's your updated forecast on the Shaw. Highs level off around 42 this afternoon under overcast skies, north winds 8 to 15 miles an hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Lows dip down to about 28. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times again tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 42. 4 to 8 inches of snow tomorrow night through Saturday. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Eric Height. Currently, it's 36 degrees.
The Shaw 101 FM, your fix for progressive talk. From Butler to Wind Lake. Always streaming at WAUKradio.com.
Bad mother plumber, bad mother plumber. When your pipe's backed up, call a bad mother plumber. When you got a freaky leak and there's a musty stench, that's when I show up at your door with my trusty pipe wrench. I waste no time, I'm on your dime, I'm underneath your sink, and if I catch you checking.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I am Kristen Bry. She is Jane Madnair, and we're playing plumber songs because we have the writer, director, creator of White House Plumbers, which premieres in May on HBO, but also you've seen his work on Veep and Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm. David Mandel, we're so happy that you're here.
I was trying to figure out why that song was playing. I did not quite piece together that it was a plumber's song, but thank you.
Jane is very good at planting Easter eggs with her bumper music.
I think we missed a real opportunity to use that in our end credits of the show. I'm not sure I can reopen the edit, but I'll talk to HBO. Yeah, no.
I am always available for you, David. You need any help?
Thank you. Yeah.
Soundtrack. Jane's was like, maybe this will be my Hollywood break as far as my ability to add sound effects. Tomorrow I'll finally.
It's going to be my breakthrough, man.
Exactly.
I can feel it.
And so we have some pitches for you as someone who has spent your career in the entertainment business, pitching shows, probably hearing ideas from other people. And we just want to throw some, potential show ideas past you.
I will happily listen. I will tell you, in the history of, because the shows I work on have these, often, especially like Seinfeld and Curb, where people are like, oh, have I got a Seinfeld idea for you? Have I got a Curb idea for you? And what I will tell you, just for the record, most of the time, the idea where they tell me I have the best Curb Your Enthusiasm idea, and then they tell me an idea, it's the worst idea I've ever heard. But then in talking to them, like 10 minutes later, they'll tell me something about their life that they're not pitching me. They'll just tell me about something that's going on. And more often than not, I go, that's the Curb idea. That thing you pitched me, that was garbage, but that's a really funny Curb idea. I'm stealing that from your life, and we're going to use it. But yeah, anyway.
All right.
With that in mind,
keep that in mind. Okay, there is a lot of, I will warn you now, as a state that really leans into our stereotypes, there's a lot of cheese references in these shows. Because some are we came up with some are crowdsourced that were pitched to us. So I'll start with, we start with a meet cute between Mary Bell and George on a brewery tour in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, only to find out that they are both heirs to rival sausage empires. Working title, Top Dog.
All right.
Potential. Okay.
Potential. All right. Yeah. Well, you can pick your favorite at the end.
Sure.
Rival sausage. I will simply say that I'm liking that part.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm honing in. Yeah. Go on.
Okay. All right, David. The next series centers on the Culver's family. They're the owners of the most popular fast food restaurant chain in Wisconsin, Culver's. Siblings squabble for control over the company amid the domineering force of their patriarch, Craig Culver. It's like Succession meets Good Burger with the working title Concessions.
Okay. Alternative title, Curd King.
Curd King is another possibility if you want to use that.
All right.
All right. It's a new reality show that's like Crank Yankers, except it's just prank calls to Wisconsin politicians, a la when Scott Walker thought he was talking to one of the Koch brothers. No working title for that one. We just want Robin Voss to get prank called.
I'm going to buy that one right now. I'd like to see that one right now. That's the winner. I'm sorry. I know I don't even like reality shows, but that one's winning. Sorry.
All right. Well, don't judge too soon, David. Okay. 2 neighboring dairy farmers in Wisconsin try to survive the changing landscape of the state's agriculture, pushing the boundaries of traditional family practices and even breaking the law in order to compete with corporate industrial farms. The working title is Breaking Curd.
I'm starting to see some patterns. Okay.
There's some patterns. All right. An animated series about the misadventures of a brat, a block of cheddar cheese, and a Schlitz beer as they try to save the state of Wisconsin from external evil forces each week. Working title, Cholesterol Crew.
For kids, maybe for kids.
For kids,
okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's like Aqua Teen Hunger Force vibes.
And then I think finally a reality show, David, where dairy farmers try to match their best heifers with a prize bull to make the best baby cows. The working title, I don't know how you cannot love this, is Love is a Cattle Field. It just screams.
It just writes
hit.
itself.
It just screams hit.
All right, you got a winner in that one?
Look, I'm going to be honest. I actually think not necessarily with the Succession parody title, but I think there's something in there. If it was honestly about like a restaurant family or something, I kind of would lean that way. I feel like that's a rich area of interesting stuff. I'm gonna go there. Yeah.
All right.
That's where I'm headed. Yeah.
So have you been to Wisconsin and eaten
I have,
at
and
Culver's?
it's so embarrassing. Okay. It's so embarrassing. Yeah.
We need to get you here.
It's all just very like weird secondhand knowledge. Yeah.
So you are welcome to visit anytime.
You are more than welcome to visit anytime. We'll take you to
to
Culver's. But I guess to end with the last couple minutes that we have, I guess just what is the interest in Wisconsin? Because you wrote the mashup last year for the WisDems fundraiser that met the West Wing with Veep. And so I guess as an East Coaster, why the interest in Wisconsin?
I think it had to do obviously with, I guess, my increased interest in politics in general. I mean, let's start there, which was, for a lot of people, the Trump election was a wake up call, because I was certainly somebody that was like, donating some money here and there, occasionally going to some event here in Los Angeles, not particularly paying much attention like everybody else. And of course, like everybody else, he can never win. And, here we sit, still sort of, suffering. So that was the wake up call. And as I got more involved, the two things, number one was I started to realize that one of the things, unfortunately, that Republicans were doing right was their work on the local level. And I think Democrats have come a very long way, just even in the last few years. But the constant focus by Democrats, and by the way, everyone always is like, LA, LA and, Hollywood people and whatever. But if all they're doing is just giving money to the person running for president, that doesn't go anywhere. Yeah. And it was the realization that so much is happening on just the state level, on the legislature level, on the Secretary of State's, obviously. And this was before anyone even thought people might start thinking that like you could overturn an election, but just on a issue by issue basis. And so I started getting more interested. I gotta go quickly, in local stuff. And when you start getting interested in local stuff, you quickly get to Wisconsin, because all roads go through Wisconsin, and it just seems like everything is on the ballot right now. That's it, as quick as I can go. Sorry.
Thank you so much, David.
The Shaw 101 FM, WAUK 540 AM, Wisconsin's home for rational talk radio.
That was great. You really squeezed it in there. But no, that was so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I apologize. I was not paying much attention.
And if there's ever a reason to come back, it's a very open door policy.
I would be happy to. If you think of something you can use me for, I'd be happy to whatever. And I hope it helps. Okay. But yeah, thank you so much. Okay.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
You have a
Bye,
great
guys.
day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Stormy Daniels has been postponed. Trump continues to speak out via social media, blasting Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, insisting he, quote, presides over one of the most crime-ridden, violent, and dangerous cities, while also insisting he committed no crime of any kind.
WCBS's Zinnia Maldonado. The Federal Reserve is deciding whether to raise interest rates.
If I were on the Fed, I'd recommend no rate increase.
Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics, says the Fed has a tough job after the bank failures this month.
CBS's Ed O'Keefe, CBS News Brief.
A progressive voice for rural Wisconsin. WAUK 540 AM. Always streaming at WAUKradio.com.
For Civic Media News, I'm Terry Bell. Here's what you need to know. Janet Protasewicz says Wisconsin's political maps are unfair. It's not just her personal opinion.
The map issue is really kind of easy, actually. I don't think anybody thinks those maps are fair. Anybody.
The High Court is expected to take up Wisconsin's legislative boundaries in the near future. She faced Dan Kelly in the one and only debate, the state Supreme Court general election campaign yesterday. 82 school districts in Wisconsin are asking for more money this spring. That's about the same number as November in almost 1 in every 5 districts in the state. Most of the questions ask for money for day-to-day operations, but others want money for buildings. In sports, Wisconsin is going to the NIT Final Four next week after beating Oregon last night. The Bucks host San Antonio tonight. I'm Terry Bell, and this is Civic Media News.
The Civic Media team would like to say congratulations. More than 200 Wisconsin businesses and nonprofits are receiving a free advertising campaign through our one-day $1 million advertising giveaway. If you missed out, our local sales team would still love to help you with your own campaign. Go to civicmedia.us and click on the sponsorship tab. Again, civicmedia.us and sponsorship. New and still growing. Advertise today with the Civic Media network of radio stations.
It's the Mad City Bridal Expo, Sunday, March 26th at the Monona Terrace in Madison. Imagine planning your wedding in just one day. Pre-register for tickets at madcitybridalexpo.com and receive a $200 gift card. Tickets are also available at the door for $10. Read all the details at madcitybridalexpo.com and like them on Facebook. It's the Mad City Bridal Expo, Sunday, March 26th at the Monona Terrace in Madison. Your ring is just the beginning.
Hey, this is Matt from Design Garden. Remember when the internet was new? Back then, you had to leave your house to start a business. Companies used to pay programmers bags of cash to get online. Now, small businesses can get online with a Facebook business page, or Squarespace, or Google My Business, or WordPress. But which tools should you use? Can you afford to go down the wrong path? Design Garden uses modern tools to build your website the right way. Find us online at design.garden. Again, that's design.garden.
Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working. Who, me? Text and whatever, just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Leaving home out on the road. I've been down before. Riding alone.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I am Kristen Bry. She is Jane Madnair.
We got kept him for a couple days.
Oh my gosh, it went by way too quickly.
Way too quickly. Dave Mandel just joined us in case you missed it, and he was the showrunner for Veep and wrote for Saturday Night Live and Curb Your Enthusiasm and Seinfeld. And one thing I think that he said that's so important, he didn't say it directly, but you have to go through so much garbage before you get to a good joke. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, there's just so much material that gets thrown away because it doesn't go anywhere and you have to keep at it.
Well, it's also like the kernel, right? Like there's the, because I think there's the premise and the beginning of an idea, whether it's a joke or a sitcom or a sketch or whatever. But like, you know, some people are really good at the premise of the thing that could be funny, but then you got to write it.
Yeah. Which can be an entirely different thing.
And then you got the people who can edit it. And like different people are like good at different skills and like different parts of that process. And what I thought was really interesting was what he said about people pitching ideas for a Seinfeld episode. And, you know, the whole point of that show and even Curb Your Enthusiasm was really like finding the humor in the mundane.
Just, it's a very observational humor.
Yes, of like these stupid things that we do in our lives. And it's the obvious. Sometimes, like in those situations, it's the obvious. But I would argue that's even what Veep was, which is why most people who work in politics will say Veep. It's more like Veep than it is like West Wing.
Yeah,
where it's
the reality is
yes, or even Parks and Rec, where it is more sometimes incompetence than malintent. You know what I mean? You know, just people just trying to keep their head above water and covering their rear ends with making it, this is why we're doing this for some convoluted reason versus like we just ran out of time or whatever,
because we
right?
blew it, yes.
And so, but I feel like the only question I wish I would have asked, I think just the advice, and it's probably very different in the early 90s than it was what it is now, but just comedy's a hard scene to break into.
No doubt.
And advice for young people, in the Midwest who are or anywhere really, trying to break into comedy and how you do that, whether it's as a writer or a performer or sketch, And so, but that was super fun.
Well, and the other thing that I think is really important to reiterate, Wisconsin is a critically important state as far as it comes to preserving our democracy. And this upcoming election on April 4th is enormous because whoever is on the bench will be there when the results of the 2024 presidential election come down. And I would assume most people would like those results accepted.
Yeah.
And who is going to be on the bench is going to determine that.
Well, and I feel like this is one element. Dan Schaefer from Recombobulation Area, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but he did a good job, as he always does, but he did a good job of explaining, had Dan Kelly been elected instead of Jill Karofsky in 2020, likely the Wisconsin Supreme Court would have overturned the election.
Yes, because they didn't by one vote because of Michael Brian
Hagedorn.
Brian Hagedorn, yes.
But had Brian Hagedorn, who won in 2019 and ran as a conservative candidate, who is now arguably the swing vote, unexpectedly, but
and for some disappointingly,
some very including Dan Kelly.
Yeah.
And so had Dan Kelly won in 2020 instead of getting thumped by Jill Karofsky, it wouldn't have been a 4-3 court. It would have been a 5-2 court.
Yep.
And there is reason to believe, we don't know for sure because it's a hypothetical, but there's reason to believe that had he been on that court, the votes in Milwaukee and Dane County would have been thrown away.
Yeah.
And in the situation we're in now, we very much could likely have our results in Wisconsin in 2024 go through the court system again. If there's no reason why it couldn't, considering how close things are.
Yep.
What will happen in the next year and a half until we know? I mean, shoot, have we had any Trump updates as far as has he been arrested yet?
No, because they adjourned the grand jury again, and I think the grand jury. Well, tomorrow's Friday, so I think the grand jury is out for the rest of the week.
All right, so they're just
well.
This is why my reaction on Monday when we were talking about this is an eye roll, where it's like anyone who's holding their breath waiting for this to happen, it's like, well, it may not happen as quickly as you think it's going to, or be as exciting.
And first of all, consider the source. The man lied 36,000 times while he was in office. Why anyone would believe that he would tell the truth about when he's going to get arrested? All he's been doing on it is fundraising. He has been fundraising on this and making money off of people who still adore him. And one other side note,
I know this. I feel like this segment, we were going to talk about lap babies, but I feel like we're going to just talk about whatever we want to talk about for this segment. We've had a pretty packed show.
We have had a pretty organized show.
So let's just rip it.
Okay. Latest from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel from Molly Beck. Dan Kelly, Supreme Court candidate who will be facing off against against Janet Protasiewicz on April 4th, appeared Tuesday at an event in Western Wisconsin headlined by a Brookfield pastor who has called the murder of an abortion provider, quote, justifiable homicide, unquote, advocated for the creation of anti-abortion focused militia, and compared COVID-19 pandemic-related masks mandates to the Holocaust. So Dan Kelly spoke after this pastor. He appeared virtually at the Wisconsin chapter of the Sons and Daughters of Liberty, which calls itself Christian Patriots, dedicated to restoring our constitutional republic and defending liberty.
But is our constitutional republic, what's changed in our constitutional republic that they don't think it needs to be restored?
That's a very good question.
Because I feel like protect is one word. Restore means something has gone away or has diminished. And so this is the question that I feel it's like, so We're saying, yes, people love to make, we're not a democracy, we're a republic, whatever. The institution of us electing our officials and that our votes being what decides that, and not politicians and lawyers being what decides that, there is one side saying that has been a threat by the other side of just, my side didn't win, so they must have cheated, so we're going to do it our way.
Right.
But I guess I've never heard it really. I guess maybe their argument of restoring is because they think Democrats cheat, which it is, and Twitter's not real life. But as I've said multiple times, I try to follow a wide range of social media accounts. And I will say there's some right-wing talk show hosts who will tweet things, and I'll read the comments. And the amount of comments like, well, they're just going to cheat anyways. They're already counting the votes. And like, it's just this. And again, Twitter's not real life. It's usually anonymous accounts. Could be the same person again and again and again. For all I know, could be bots. Like I always look at sometimes the negative, crappy comments left on any of my videos on social media. And often when I click through to see who is this person, sometimes it's like they have friends and followers. Often it is zero follower, it's just either a fake account or a bot in general. And so I don't know how many of those accounts are real people just hiding under pseudonyms, but I feel like there is a population out there that still is very convinced that no matter what, Democrats cheat, despite the fact that there's been no evidence. And that to me is the kind of restoration we need, is gaining back the trust of people, to trust people like Lana Kropp, who we had on last week talking about, election clerks and city clerks and like people who they're not out there to like cheat you. They're just trying to do their jobs.
And it would require a massive network to pull off the kind of voter fraud they allege, because there are so many checks and balances when ballots come back and they're cross-checked and cross-checked again. But unfortunately, this eroding confidence in our elections has been the goal of the GOP for decades, because they can't win the popular vote.
At least here.
At least,
they can't win the popular vote nationally.
Nationally, I mean, they're presidential candidates.
I mean, because the last person to win the popular vote was Bush the second time. The last Republican to win the popular vote was Bush the second time.
I believe so.
So that would have been 2004.
And that's when, again, that's where
that's wild to think about,
isn't it?
Like because sometimes I see it's like, oh, out of the X amount of last presidential elections, this is how many people have actually won the president. But when you think about, it's now been 20 years since a Republican won the popular vote. That's wild.
And I would say it's been 20 years worth of undermining confidence in our elections.
Well, and it's so interesting because you think about how different the world, our country, well, not maybe the world, but we'll say the country. Because, when I read Tim Miller's Why We Did It, and Tim Miller, we played his video yesterday for Doomerism. He works for the Bulwark. He was a longtime PR hatchet man for Republicans. He worked on John McCain's campaign, and he was on Jeb Bush's campaign in 2016. And he was kind of, in 2016, a fairly early never Trumper. That's why he's part of the Bulwark, because everyone over there, including Charlie Sykes, is now, for democracy and anti, whatever. It's a whole group of people who talk like that.
Yeah.
I like Tim Miller. I think he's very funny. He's a good writer. I like his takes. I also think he's just an interesting person, as far as I think anyone who ever switches parties so dramatically is interesting to talk to. That's why I think it's really interesting to talk to Todd Alba and hearing his perspective on the Todd Alba Show on Civic Media from 8 to 11. Because he worked in Republican politics for decades.
Yep.
And then kind of saw like, it's not like a young person who was a conservative in high school and went to college and then changed course. Someone who spent his career in one camp and then through critical thinking was like, this ain't it.
Yeah.
And so anyways, with Tim Miller's book, post 2012, when Mitt Romney lost to Obama, there was a whole coalition of what the Republican Party needed to do. And so many of the recommendations were, we need to appeal to people of color. We need to appeal to more women. We need to broaden our message and broaden the policies that we're advocating for to appeal to people. And that just went down the drain.
Yeah, they didn't do that.
And I think there were, including Elise Stefanik, who was on that coalition, who was advocating for that stuff. And then it came back to, well, I guess Trump's strategy is going to win. So let's just put that away. But just think about how different our world could be if we were still fighting about policy and how, what government spending and, that was the thing instead of all these culture wars and divisiveness and just saying, let's find ways that we don't actually have to appeal to people, but we can still maintain power.
I do want to wrap this thing up about this Kelly report, this reporting on Kelly in today's Journal Sentinel, where he spoke with where this pastor had appeared. Kelly appeared virtually after that pastor, and his spokesman says that Kelly, quote, speaks for himself and himself only. He did not hear the comments by another guest speaker, nor does he condone calls for violence of any kind, unquote.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, we got one more break before we wrap up the show. Stay tuned. This is As Goes Wisconsin.
It's here that I've got to stay. Yeah. Big old jet and light up. Don't carry me too far away. Whoa, big old jet and light up. 'Cause it's here that I've got to stay. Whoa, big old jet and light up. Carry me to my home. Oh, big old jet and light up, 'cause it's there that I belong.
It's easy to listen to your favorite local radio station anytime. Download the Civic Media app from the Apple or Google Play Store, then listen live or whenever you want from anywhere for free.
Hey there, fellow working class heroes. I'm Rick Smith, host of The Rick Smith Show, and we are now on the air in Waukesha, live weeknights 8 to 10 p.m. right here on WAUK 540 AM, 101 FM, The Shaw. Turn on, tune in, and help us rebuild the American dream. Check out our website at thericksmithshow.com. The Rick Smith Show, where working people come to talk. Weeknights 8 to 10 p.m. right here on WAUK 540 AM, 101 FM, The Shaw.
Catch Up North News Radio with Pat Kreitlow at its brand new time, 6 to 8 a.m. weekdays.
The city of Shanghai started administering an inhalable COVID-19 vaccine. I hear a lot of you saying the same thing I had in my head. I don't know about that.
As long as they are not just crop dusting everyone.
Crop dusting. That's exactly what I think people would be fearful of. I would not trust the Chinese government. I would trust people who really know about inhaling something and the good that it does you. Of course, I'm talking about Dom and Crute.
Here's today's STEM tip. Don't throw out that old plastic bottle. Repurpose it by turning it into an awesome terrarium. Just fill it with sand, pebbles, soil, and your favorite plant. It'll grow sealed right in its own ecosystem. Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
Here's your updated forecast on the Shaw. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon, with daytime highs approaching 42. Northerly winds 8 to 15 miles an hour. Partly cloudy skies again tonight. Lows level off around 28. Daytime highs approaching 42. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies. 4 to 8 inches of snow tomorrow night through Saturday. For Civic Media, I'm meteorologist Derek Height. Currently, it's 36 degrees.
The Shaw 101 FM, Franklin's choice for news talk radio. Streaming 24/7 at WAUKradio.com.
Turn up the music, turn down the lights. I got a feeling I'm gonna be alright, okay, alright. It's about damn time. Turn up the music.
Welcome back to As Goes Wisconsin. I am Kristen Bry. She is Jane Madnair. I'm tired now.
It was a fun show.
It was a very fun show.
Lots of guests. We learned lots,
Mm.
and you can always go back and listen in podcast form and read all the show notes. And it's really all the stuff you need is there.
I know. I just always need to remember to
do it.
Because sometimes after the show, I have doctor's appointments or something to do. So I feel like yesterday's show, like they're up there, but I got to go actually write
and fluff them up a little bit.
All the things. And so, yeah, but today was really, really fun. I'm trying to get more information just to make sure I have everything correct because big news on Monday, March 27th.
Yes.
So this coming Monday, Cripes Cast, which airs on Saturdays and Sundays, Charlie Barron's, they are going to do a live recording at Comedy on State in Madison. It is going to be, obviously, Charlie Barron's. He is going to be interviewing Mike Wagner, who's been on this show before. He's a UW-Madison professor of communications, journalism politics, super interesting, fun guy. And so that's going to be live on Monday, and tickets are already on sale.
The show is Monday.
The show is this Monday.
Okay.
So you have to be 18 to attend, but tickets are on sale now. We will, again, put the tickets in the show notes, but students are $10. VIP is $50, and general admission is $25, but it's going to be live. You can go see it in person. It's a get out the vote. It's a nonpartisan get out the vote event. And tomorrow we have 2 pairs of tickets to give away.
Of these highly desirable, much sought after tickets.
And so you'll have to tune back in tomorrow when we'll do the giveaway. I'm sure there'll be some version of calling in. Maybe we'll play a game.
You may have to sing.
I might have to sing again. What was I?
Good heavens, not you.
Come on, I sang Kermit at the beginning of the hour, and I was the beginning of the show, and I was fine. I sounded as good as Kermit did.
Yes, of course you did.
You sing then. You're the one who actually can carry a tune.
The one thing too about this Charlie Barron show is the proceeds are going to Boys and Girls Clubs of Dane County, I believe.
Yeah, which is great. It's not just us making money,
right? No, it's not. It is not. It's for a good.
It is for a good
very
cause.
Worthy cause. Charlie does a lot of giving back.
He does. He really does. And so I don't know. I don't think I will be making it to Madison on a school night, but
No, yeah, for us that's kind of tough.
There will be a lot of other civic media folks. I'm sure that it's easier. They either live in Madison or it's easier for them to get to Madison and be there. But
well, and now our new headquarters, which is underway, is right above.
Comedy on
Comedy
State.
Club.
Yeah. So we'll put in more information if you want to go buy tickets to this event on Monday. We'll put that in today's show notes. I'll probably also be sharing it across social media, which if you don't follow us on social media yet, we're at As Goes Wisconsin on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I think that's it. I think that's pretty much everything.
I would hope there can't possibly be more.
I mean, there are, I guess you could be on. What else is there to be on these days? I guess there's all the things that popped up as competitors to Twitter, which I haven't heard any of them really.
Yeah, I don't think any
pulling
of those
ahead
yet.
yet.
Yeah, I don't think that many of those are going anywhere.
I'm waiting to see if there's anything that tries to. And we're also on YouTube. If you want to watch, every day we have the live stream on YouTube along with Facebook, and I post some of the shorts there and stuff. But that's probably where we'll also start posting the individual interviews if you'd like to watch them instead of listen to them. But I'm trying to think. The TikTok CEO testified today.
Yeah, I know.
He made a video on TikTok. I'm sure the algorithm pushed it out aggressively, but I saw it. That man, he's Chinese, and you can tell English is his second language, although his English is very good. But watching his video, and he was, trying to explain what's happening, and he was asking for, he's saying, there's 150 million Americans who use TikTok, and was asking people to tell him, what do you want me to tell, how you use it and what it means to you and why you don't want it to go away. And I watched it and I was like, man, this guy has more charisma in his pinky toe than Mark Zuckerberg has in his entire 40 years of living.
Is that a high bar?
It's not, but it's like the amount of times we've ever seen Mark Zuckerberg try to do like address the public, and he just is such a robot. And this guy was charismatic. And I don't know, this is the first time I've ever heard him say anything was on this TikTok, but and in the same conversation, because I think I've been very honest of what that app it's flawed for sure. And I mean, I'm not sure it's spying on you more than any other technology is spying on you. But I saw testimony is probably too strong of a word, but I saw a guy talking about the power of community that can be created on TikTok because he's a math teacher. And he was like, I was on winter break. He's like, because I love teaching people math. And so I joined TikTok. I think he said he may have been as soon as like December 2022. Maybe it was December 2021. He's like, I joined this just to talk about math and like teach people math. And now he's 250,000 followers. And he's like, I've connected with other people who love math all over the world. And I've seen him before answer someone's math question. And he goes, this doesn't exist on Instagram. This doesn't exist on YouTube.
That kind of engagement.
And that is what I always said with my success on the app is that there is something about that algorithm that the content you put out, it finds you your people. And even, I mean, I posted that video about Waukesha this morning, and in 3 hours, I posted it basically right before we were on air. It's got 24,000 people who've watched it.
Wow.
And that's just simply, it was a 15-second video just giving people information about what happened in Waukesha. And it's found people, right? It found the people who care about this issue and might maybe do something about it. And so I do hope it goes well for him today. And we'll see, because I think it is much more political than an actual threat of why this is all happening for TikTok. And I don't know. I don't know if something will be able to to fill the vacuum that it would create if that app went away. But anyways, that will do it for us today. Stick around for Dueling Tangents with Luke Mathers. He has Representative Clinton Anderson joining at 2:30 to talk about open records. And on the Chad Holmes Show, he's talking to WAOW TV news anchor Brad Hansen. And in the second hour, he's discussing and have sound from the event highlights of the 13th anniversary of the Affordable Care Act.
Oh, man.
So stick around for both of us. Both of those shows, either one, both at the same time. Otherwise, come back tomorrow at 11 a.m. when we'll do this all again and round out the week. Talk to you then.
I'm coming out tonight. I'm coming.